This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, Vidhyaa, please introduce yourself, tell us about your work, and please tell us a story.
Namaste. My name is Vidhyaa, and I am recently retired from a public sector organization to pursue my hobby of storytelling. I have a blog which I have been maintaining for the past 8 years, wherein I rewrite Indian stories from Indian culture and heritage. Now I have decided to take the plunge fully and go into storytelling, and here I am in front of you to tell a story. And I thank Dr. Eric for giving me this opportunity to share the story. This story is titled The Royal Sweeper, and this is from the history of Odisha, which is a state in the eastern part of India. In the 15th century, Odisha was ruled by the Gajapati dynasty, and one of the kings of the Gajapati dynasty was Purushottama Deva. Purushottama Deva was brave, he was wise, he was intelligent, he was good looking, he was efficient, he was everything the subjects loved, and so he was liked by everybody. And Purushottama Deva once went on an expedition to the southern part of the country, and he reached the kingdom of Saluva Narasimha Deva Raya, who was a Vijayanagara king. He went there and stayed as his guest for a few days in his palace. And there he got a chance to meet Saluva's beautiful daughter Padmavati, who is also referred to as Rupambika. Now Padmavati was an exceptionally beautiful maiden, and she was equally brilliant and erudite. And so it was not a wonder that Purushottama and Padmavati fell in love. And Saluva Narasimha was greatly overjoyed. He was in fact searching for a bridegroom, and he thought now Purushottama would be the best match. And so he asked Purushottama to suggest to him a date for the wedding. Purushottama, on the other hand, wanted to go back to his capital city Puri, as the Rath Yatra was coming up, and he wanted the wedding to be conducted after the Rath Yatra. He was a devotee of Lord Jagannatha, and he wanted to go back. He also invited Saluva Narasimha to come with family and witness the Rath Yatra, as Saluva Narasimha had never seen the Rath Yatra. Now, the Rath Yatra, for people who don't know, can be loosely translated as the Procession of Chariots. This is a very, very ancient festival which is mentioned even in our scriptures, but it is still conducted today also in the temple of Lord Jagannatha. 3 huge chariots to the height of about 40 to 50 feet are made, handcrafted with neem wood and decorated so beautifully, and the deities of the Jagannatha temple, namely Balabhadra, who is the elder brother of Krishna, Subhadra, who is the younger sister of Krishna and Balabhadra, and Jagannatha, who is Krishna himself, are mounted on those chariots and taken on a procession to the neighboring village where there is a temple, and they come back after 7 days. And this function is celebrated in a very grand manner, and all the people of Odisha and all the people of the country look forward for this festival. And so Saluva Narasimha also planned to go, but in the last minute something happened and Saluva Narasimha was not able to make it. So he sent his minister. He told the minister, you go there, you witness the Rath Yatra, and then talk to the elders in the palace about the wedding dates and then come back. And so the minister went to Puri with some of his companions. He was greatly warmly welcomed by Purushottama Deva, and he was greatly impressed by the cordiality. And he was given a beautiful palace to stay very near the temple, from the terrace of which he could witness the Rath Yatra. The whole place looked so prosperous, and the festivities had already started. The crowds of people were like an ocean, with happiness in huge proportion. Flowers, festoons, fragrance everywhere. There was joy and vibrance in the air. Dances, music, crafts and more. Fairs with yummy foods galore. With lights that sparkled through the night. The whole city was shining bright. The whole city was shining bright, bringing everyone so much delight. The whole thing was so beautiful. The festivities were on, and the minister was so happy to be in that atmosphere. There were so many activities he could indulge in, and he enjoyed and cherished every moment he spent there. And the day of the Rath Yatra dawned. And on that day, the minister saw the beautiful Rathas placed outside the temple. The temple has a towering 200 feet tower on which there is a pinnacle and there is a flag, and the flag was fluttering in joy as if reflecting the mood of the people down. And all the three Rathas were so beautiful. The first one was that of Lord Balabhadra. It was green and red in color, and it was decorated with so many flowers, and it was painted on all sides with the Patachitra paintings, beautiful paintings. He could see the idols of the 4 black horses. He could see the idol of the charioteer, and he could see the huge rope which lay coiled like a giant serpent with which the people would pull the Ratha. And the second one was that of Subhadra. That was very exquisite. It was in black and red, and it was decorated with pearls and sequins and gems and flowers and everything beautiful. And outside the chariot was the charioteer Arjuna, the Mahabharata warrior, who was Subhadra's husband, and he could see the brown horses. And the third chariot was that of Lord Jagannatha. It was yellow and red in color, and it was the most beautiful chariot one could ever see. It had white horses, 4 of them, and all the chariots were ready to be pulled. And the minister was lost in the riot of colors. The sky was a brilliant blue, and the sun was shining on the chariots as if paying obeisance, and the whole thing created a rainbow of colors, and the minister was immersed in that, enjoying every moment. And at that time, he just heard the arati, the prayer being done in the temple. Chaturbhuja Jagannatho Kanta Kaustubha Kaustubha Padmanabho Veda Garva Chandra Suja Vilochana Padmahasto Chakrapani Shanka Hasto Gadadhara Mahabaikuntha Bhasi Cho Lakshmi Preeti Karasada Jagannatha 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 Hare Hare Jagannatha 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 Hare Hare. And as the prayer slowed down and stopped, he could see that the people were ready to receive the deities from the temple, and he heard the rhythmic harmony of the cymbals and the drums. Takatarikita, 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 takatarikita. Takatarikita, 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 takatarikita. Takatarikita, 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 takatarikita. Tarigita tom, 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 tarigita 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 tarigita. And as the music reached its crescendo, he saw the idol, the murti of Balabhadra being brought out of the temple with great reverence, and everybody was cheering, Balabhadra ji ki jai, Balabhadra ji ki jai. And Balabhadra was brought out and placed on the chariot. Similarly, the chariots of Subhadra and Jagannatha got their owners shortly, and the minister was wondering when the Rathas would start for the procession. And as he was watching, the music stopped, and he heard the galloping of a horse. And the horse stopped near the chariot of Lord Balabhadra. And from the horse, which was decked very beautifully, got down the splendid Purushottama, who was looking so handsome, and he was looking like a god himself. And the minister was just watching, and Purushottama got on to the chariot of Lord Balabhadra. He climbed the stairs, and what the king did next was very shocking. He took a broom. Yes, you heard me right. He took a broom from somebody and started sweeping the chariot. The minister was shocked. He was aghast. A king sweeping a chariot, and somebody was sprinkling water. The minister looked around, but nobody seemed to be bothered. They were enjoying that sight. And the king had no qualms of sweeping the chariot. Sweeping was such a menial job, and the king was sweeping the chariot. The minister just couldn't tolerate it. Disgusting, disgusting, he said. I have to get away from here. And he thought that sweeping was such a bad job that a king shouldn't do it. And so he immediately left the place without even telling Purushottama. He didn't tell anybody. He just came back to his kingdom with his companions. And this ritual, which is called Chera Paira, which is done even today, this ritual is to show that the Lord of the universe, that is Jagannatha, is the ultimate king. And the king, the human king here, is only a mere servant. It is also to show that whether it is a servant or whether it is a king, in front of Jagannatha, all are one and the same. But the minister was too immature not to even find out what is the reason for this, and he went back. He went and told Saluva Narasimha, and Saluva, who was equally hasty, immediately took a decision to cancel the wedding. He said, my daughter's wedding stands cancelled. We will not give my daughter to this fellow who is a sweeper. We will call a Swayamvara, call all the princes and kings from all over the country except Purushottama, and let Padmavati choose another man as her husband. But Padmavati had already given her heart and soul to Purushottama. But she was a princess. She had her limitations. She had her restrictions, and she could do nothing but to silently weep because her father's order was the final. And after the Rath Yatra was over, Purushottama came to check on the minister, and he found to his dismay that the minister had left. Sensing that something was amiss, he sent his spies, and the spies came back and told him that the marriage of Padmavati was being planned with someone else. And Purushottama got furious. He got so furious that he did not even plan. Impulsively, he picked some soldiers and went off to attack Saluva Narasimha. Saluva Narasimha, on the other hand, was very smart. He expected this move from Purushottama, and he was well prepared. And so he defeated Purushottama easily, and fortunately, Purushottama was not captured. Purushottama came running back to Puri. He went back to the temple and he fell at the Lord, at the base of the Lord. And then he was full of exertion and fatigue because of the mental and physical exertion. He fell and started crying loudly, "Oh Lord, what have you done to me? What have you done to me? My wedding got cancelled. My wedding got cancelled, and now I have been defeated. Why are you betraying me thus? I am a sincere servant. Why did you do this to me?" He banged and banged and banged and sobbed, and he became unconscious. And after some time, he came back to a semi-conscious state when he heard a voice. The voice said, "Purushottama, get up, prepare well and go for the war, and I will be with you now." And he looked around, but he couldn't see anybody, and he thought that it was the voice of his Lord. And so this time he prepared his strategy very well. And as the saying goes, God helps them who help themselves. This time Purushottama was victorious, and he brought back Saluva and his daughter as prisoners of war. He brought them back to the kingdom, and he told Saluva, "Look, you did not want your daughter to marry me because you thought I was a sweeper. Now I will see that I will get a real eligible sweeper for this maiden, and I will see that she is married to a sweeper right in front of your eyes, and you will repent your action throughout your life." And he kept them under house arrest. And he called his minister and told him, "Minister, please get an eligible sweeper at the earliest for this maiden, for I want to see her married to a sweeper so that her father will repent throughout his life." And the minister was a wise man. The minister could understand how much pain it would have cost for Purushottama to be torn between his ego as a king and between his personal desire, which he wanted to satisfy. And the minister, so he did not, whenever the king Purushottama asked him whether he has found a sweeper, the minister would say, "No, I have not found one yet. I have not found one yet." And days passed, and days passed and passed, and the next year's Rath Yatra was due. And this time, Purushottama wanted that Saluva Narasimha and his daughter should be made to stand very near the chariot and witness his sweeping. He thought he was humiliating Saluva, and so he asked them to be placed very near the chariot. Saluva Narasimha, on the other hand, had also, after his long stay here and talking to people, come to know about the meaning of the ritual, but he had such an inflated ego that he did not want to ask for forgiveness. And so there they stood, father and daughter. Father standing and the daughter was weeping, not knowing what to do next. The festivities started. Purushottama came as usual, handsome, on a bedecked horse, got down, went up the chariot of Lord Balabhadra and started sweeping the chariot. As he was sweeping, he had two more chariots to sweep. The minister came running with a garland in hand. He said, "Oh, king, please, I have something to tell you, please." Purushottama looked at him and asked, "What do you want to tell me?" The minister said, "King, I have found the sweeper for Padmavati. Shall I ask her to garland him now?" Purushottama looked at him. "Are you out of your mind? The Rath Yatra is on. I am sweeping the chariot. There is so much more to be finished. They have waited for so long. They can wait for 10 more days. Let the Rath Yatra be over and then she can garland whoever sweeper you want her to garland." But then the minister took a risk and raised his voice and addressed the people around. He said, "Oh, people of Odisha, our king, Purushottama Deva, has fallen in love with this beautiful maiden, Padmavati, who happens to be the princess of the Vijayanagara king, Salva Narasimha. And due to an ego clash and misunderstanding between her father and our king, the wedding got cancelled. And you know that two wars have happened. You may not know the reason, but this is the reason why the wars have happened. And our king had told me to find an eligible sweeper to get this maiden married. And to me, at this moment, the most eligible sweeper for this beautiful maiden is none other than Purushottama Deva. There he is with the sweeping with the broom. And he is the most eligible sweeper. What do you say?" And everybody said, "Jai Purushottama Deva, Jai Padmavati, Jai Purushottama Deva, Jai Padmavati." And all of them said, and this was the most pleasant shock of their lives for Salva Narasimha, for Padmavati, and for Purushottama. Purushottama, all of them never expected this twist to come. And Purushottama was greatly relieved because his word was also kept and his desire was granted by the Lord. And the minister sensed the mood and signaled to Padmavati to garland Purushottama. She garlanded Purushottama, and Purushottama accepted the garland and garlanded her back. And after the Rath Yatra, there was this grand wedding of Purushottama Deva and Padmavati, and they had an illustrious son, Pratapa Rudra Deva. The story has been recounted in a lot of Odisha literature and by historians, and even today, some of the instances of this story, there are some more incidents which I couldn't bring in, some more incidents, those incidents are used as motifs in the handicrafts of Odisha. And I would also like to show the pictures. Even today, the king, who is a descendant of the Gajapati dynasty, he goes to the Rath Yatra and he sweeps the chariot as a symbolically to show that the ultimate ruler is God. And I have shared the pictures with Dr. Eric. I would like to see the pictures. One is of the Rath Yatra, the first one. If you could share the screen, please, Dr. Eric.
Yes.
This is the one where the king is sweeping. This is the king, the present king, and he is sweeping the chariot. So this person, you can see a person sprinkling water. So this takes place even now. And the second picture is that of the actual Rathas, of the chariots. Could we have that picture? Yeah, you can see the Rathas, the red and black one is in the center is that of Subhadra, and on that side, red and green one is of Balabhadra, and the red and yellow one is of Jagannatha. And you can see how many people are there. It's like an ocean. And you can see the horses also. The horses are there, the idols of the horses are there. White ones for Jagannatha and brown ones for Subhadra and black ones for Balabhadra. So this is the story of the royal sweeper. And I thank everybody for patiently having listened to this, and to Dr. Eric for giving me an opportunity to share this wonderful story. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a wonderful telling with wonderful singing and music in there also.
Thank you. Thank you.
Vidhya, if I can add, I been a witness to this Rath Yatra as a teenager. My uncle was in Bhubaneswar and he had taken us to this particular, I think I was in 9th grade or so. And the way you have described this whole festivity, the way you have narrated the Rathas and the Bhajan, you recreated the entire atmosphere which I had witnessed back then. Thank you so much. Lovely story.
Thank you. I have not witnessed the Rath Yatra. I've gone to Jagannath, but I have not witnessed the Rath Yatra. So I wanted to create that. Yeah, like it has to be in the mind's eye lab. I wanted to create. I'm happy that it has been achieved.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Eric. Thank you once again.